There's a version of you that calls your mom the second something happens. Good news, bad news, doesn't matter. And there's a version of you that texts your dad, "Hey," once a month and calls that staying in touch. Both of those versions are you. Nobody chose which one runs the relationship. This was never about loving one parent more. Nobody sits down and makes that decision on purpose. It's about which parent got assigned the person I process my life with, and which parent got assigned the person I update once it's already handled. He got the job offer. First call was mom, before he'd even told his girlfriend. Car broke down on the highway that same month. Same number, same reflex. Girlfriend broke up with him a year later. He told his mom. His dad found out 2 weeks later, secondhand, from her. This isn't a conflict. It's an architecture. Nobody voted on it. It just got built, one call at a time, for about 15 years straight. By the time you notice it, it doesn't feel like a habit anymore. It feels like a fact about who your dad is, permanent and unquestioned. Ask him how he's doing and he'll say, "Good, you?" in under 2 seconds. Ask mom the same question and you'll get an actual answer, sometimes an unwanted one. You've stopped expecting depth from him, so you've stopped offering it either. It goes both directions, quietly, without either of you naming it out loud. Pew Research found 81% of moms text their adult kids a few times a week. For dads, it's 63%. Calls and video chats, 61% of moms, 46% of dads. Even in-person visits skew the same way, 35 to 27. Every channel, moms sit closer to the surface of your week. None of that looks like a huge gap on its own. 18 points here, 15 points there, nothing dramatic in a single week. But gaps like that compound, silently, for roughly 2 decades straight. By year 15, mom isn't just a little closer. Mom is the default. And once someone becomes the default, you stop questioning why. You just route information down whichever path takes less effort, automatically, every time, not out of laziness. Just because that's what defaults are built for. Nobody reevaluates a default. That's the entire point of having one. Defaults exist so you don't have to think, and this one's been running for years unexamined. You'll tell your best friend the exact number in your savings account, mid-conversation, unprompted. Ask your parents how you're doing financially, and it's, "Yeah, I'm fine." 4 seconds, subject changed, on to the weather. The person who gets the real number isn't the most trustworthy one in your life. They're just the one you already go to first, out of pure reflex. A separate survey found 22% of moms hear from their kids multiple times a day. For dads, that number is 10%. 10% versus 22%. 2 different frequencies, structurally, not emotionally. It also means dad's version of you is always slightly out of date. He's working off last week's update while mom has today's. At work, there's one manager you'd tell if you were actually drowning, and one you'd only update once you'd already fixed it yourself, quietly, alone. Same shape as the phone calls, different building entirely. One manager just felt safer, early on, and the pattern locked in. You mention the weird symptom to your mom, half joking, mid-text. She worries, asks follow-up questions, tells you to see someone. You don't tell your dad until it's already resolved. By then, it's a funny story, not a real concern. He gets the punchline. She got the worry. When the relationship falls apart, mom gets the unfiltered version, every contradiction included. Dad gets the finished report. We're figuring it out. Same event. 2 completely different delivery systems, depending entirely on who's listening. Neither version is a lie. They're just edited for different audiences. And both sons and daughters do this, not just daughters, which is the part that surprises people. The stereotype is that daughters are close to mom and sons are close to dad. The actual data doesn't split that cleanly. Both daughters and sons are more likely to say they turn to mom, not dad, for emotional support. So this isn't a gendered child thing. It's a gendered parent role thing. There's a reason moms end up in that seat so reliably, and it starts early. Usay Irvine tracked contact between adult children and parents across 24 countries. As cell phones spread, calls to mom went up everywhere, across every income level. Calls to dad simply didn't move the same way. The technology built to make everyone equally reachable didn't equalize anything at all. It just made the existing default faster and easier to reach. Researchers also gave schools the exact same contact info for a mom and a dad. Mom got the call almost every time. Even in households where dad was listed as the primary contact, 26% of moms still got called, even after asking the school to contact dad instead. You don't build that habit at 25, the year you get your own phone. You inherit it before you're old enough to know it's happening. It's already installed by the time you're old enough to notice the pattern exists. This is the same mechanism researchers call the default parent, just moved forward into adulthood. As a kid, mom is who the school calls, who packs the lunch, who remembers the dentist. As an adult, mom is who gets the panic text, the good news, the 2 a.m. spiral. The uniform changed. The role transferred over completely intact, without anyone signing off on it. For a generation raised on cell phones from age 11 or 12, this pattern had more time to set. More years of texting mom by default, before dad ever got a chance to compete for the habit. Young adults are more likely to say they can be fully themselves with mom than with dad. Mothers are also more likely to say their kids come to them for advice, often. Mom becomes the room you walk into unfiltered. Dad becomes the room you walk into already edited, already composed. You don't decide to perform for him every time. After enough years, it just becomes the default the second he picks up. And performing for someone, even gently, is its own kind of distance. It's a small tax, paid on every single call, without ever noticing the charge. Enough small taxes, and eventually the whole relationship runs at a discount. Not a bad relationship, just a discounted one, running on the edited version only. Neither side corrects it. Correcting it would mean saying out loud that the arrangement is unequal. Naming the gap feels worse than just letting it run for another year. So the calls keep going to mom, and the silence keeps going to dad. The real cost was never that your dad misses updates. It's that the person I go to first and the person I love quietly split into two categories. You never once noticed the moment they came apart. Fathers were more likely than mothers to say they wished for more contact with their kids. More likely to say they felt disconnected from their adult children. Not because they stopped caring somewhere along the way, because the calls simply stopped arriving, and nobody ever explained why. He'd probably answer at the first ring, every time, if you actually called. His availability was never the issue. The habit just never got the chance to form. This was never about a parent who didn't want to know. It's about a parent quietly moved to a lower tier of access, over years. No confrontation, no fight, no single moment you could point back to. Just a slow demotion. Nobody ever announced out loud. The kind of thing that only becomes visible if someone actually counts the calls. And the strange part is he probably still thinks the relationship is fine. Fine, because nobody fought about it. Fine, because he still gets the finished report eventually, edited and calm. He just doesn't know there's a raw, unedited version that never makes it to him. That version exists. It just goes somewhere else, every single time, automatically. So go back to the two calls. The job offer. The car on the shoulder of the highway. It was never about which parent could handle hard news better. It was about which parent you'd already put in charge of knowing you at all. That decision got made years ago, quietly, by two kids who never got a vote in it. One of them just happened to be the one dialing the number. If any of this landed, there's more of this on the channel.